Okay, good morning, and thank you all for being here. I am Assistant Police Chief Antonio Gilliam, and we are here this morning to discuss a recent illegal street takeover racing event that occurred this past Saturday night. I want to begin by recognizing the representatives of various agencies that are up here today that worked in collaboration with us in our most recent effort to stop illegal street racing. As you all know, these races can have a starting line in one jurisdiction, and they can have a finish line in another jurisdiction. That is why it is an imperative for us to have the communication and the collaboration that we have here in Pinellas County. So from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, Captain Allison Henry. From the Pinellas Park Police Department, Captain Adam Geisenberger. From our Florida Highway Patrol, Sergeant Steve Gaskins. I want to also recognize St. Petersburg Police Chief Anthony Holloway for his leadership, and from our agency, Lieutenant Terry Nagel and Sergeant Michael Shade, who's here to our left. Lieutenant Nagel and Sergeant Shade were instrumental in the planning and execution of this operation. Let's take a moment to first go back to recent history of street racing within our city. On January 29th of this year, just after midnight, there was an illegal street racing event that occurred at 109th Avenue North and 28th Street North. Officers that arrived that night described the scene as one of the most horrific scenes they've ever seen. A 13-year-old, Ethan Martin, will lose his life while attempting to cross 28th Street during a street racing event. One would hope that such a tragic incident would serve to deter future illegal street racing. We hope that a 13-year-old's loss of life will be enough of a wake-up call to people that engage in this behavior. The agencies standing here today and other agencies throughout Pinellas County and Tampa Bay, as well as the entire state of Florida, have engaged in ongoing educational efforts and warnings against street racing. We hope that through those efforts and through prior tragic events, that the desire to engage in these activities would dissipate. Turns out that is not the case, because this past Saturday night on April 22nd through Sunday morning, our agencies were made aware of a so-called street takeover. With every available resource at our disposal, law enforcement responded in our most aggressive manner to date. The results of our operation on Saturday night are absolutely staggering. 69 people were arrested. Many, if not most, were not even residents of Pinellas County. Those 69 arrests were comprised of 57 misdemeanor arrests and 12 felony arrests. There were 74 citations that were issued. 23 suspect vehicles were taken and impounded in connection to this activity. Just so everyone is aware, whenever an owner is the driver or occupant of one of these vehicles during a street racing event, we can take that vehicle for 30 days. The owner is responsible for paying the towing and storage fees, which can often amount into the thousands. Included in the arrest on Saturday night was a couple that brought their 1-year-old and 3-year-old to this event. As we have reminded people before, it is illegal to be a spectator of these events as well as a participant. The parents from Saturday night that brought their 1-year-old and 3-year-old were charged with child endangerment, which is a felony. Some of the felony arrests range from fleeing and eluding to child endangerment. There were misdemeanor charges of obstruction in street racing. In conclusion, we ask all of you to help us continue to get the word out. We are a zero-tolerance city. We are a zero-tolerance county. And in Tampa Bay, we are zero tolerance. We strongly suggest those of you that have engaged in this activity and might have plans to do so in the future, that you find a legal, more safe activity, because this activity will land you in jail or in prison. Before we go to questions and answers, we have a short video clip that we want to show you all. In this video clip, pay close attention. You will see how one person was almost hit as cars were doing donuts. You can see as individuals are hanging outside of the windows of the car, and you can see the person attempting to film video who was almost struck as they fell to the ground. We will release this clip for you all after this press conference. With that, any questions?
Can you describe for us what a street takeover is?
So a street takeover can occur on a roadway, highway, or parking lot, and it involves these groups of people using their vehicles and their bodies to take over an intersection or a parking lot, so that once they create a circle and shut down that location, vehicles will get in the middle of that circle and they'll do donuts and burnouts and things like that.
Have there ever been any reports of a street takeover in that same area, in that same parking lot?
Yes, there have. And actually, when we started to plan for this operation and we found out this was going to be the location when we went there, the area in between the two buildings, there are already a significant number of donuts and burnout marks on the roadway.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but what was the location that this took place?
It was at 11,001 Roosevelt Boulevard North.
And just to confirm, that video you showed, that is from this weekend?
Yes, it is.
How are you going to prevent these races before it happens?
So again, this was an opportunity for us to make a statement to the street racing community that we're going to have zero tolerance. Through our investigative techniques, we'll continue to do what we do to discover these things before they take place and try to prevent them, and as well as the message that you guys are getting out for us to prevent this stuff from happening.
The death of the 13-year-old back in January, you mentioned that you had hoped, all the agencies hoped that that would have been enough to stop this type of behavior. It wasn't. How much did that motivate you to make what you call the most aggressive crackdown ever?
It motivated us a lot. It was a horrific scene, and when you see something like that happen, as a law enforcement officer, or even as a normal person, you want to do what you can to prevent it from happening again, and that's what we tried to do this weekend.
Is this something that it's a specific group that is involved in the street racing, or do they like announce this on social media and whoever shows up, just shows up, or how do they set this up?
You want to take that one, Chief?
It's a great question. Don't really want to go into details in terms of some of the investigative techniques that we use. We can tell you that whenever these things are planned, we hope to get this information and we respond to it. That's why it's important for us to be flexible and to have these communication lines open with our other agencies. Word of mouth is usually spread. You'll be amazed at how quickly they can gather these events and get these things going. It's a challenge for law enforcement, right? Even though these results are staggering, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the men and women that were part of this investigation, they put in a lot of hours, and they're very, very detailed in their response.
Your message to people who are involved in this and who are taking their children to participate?
Yeah, I'm not here to judge anyone's parenting skills, but I just have to say, we've seen how deadly these events can be. So you're talking about 10, 11 o'clock at night, sometimes in the early morning hours. Why are you bringing a 1-year-old and 3-year-old to an event like this? What good can come out of that?
And most of the people join, like teenagers, join.
It's a mix of everyone.
Over the weekend, it was announced that 39, so almost 40 arrests were made, and now that number's ballooned to almost 70. Can you just talk about your process and how those numbers change?
Sure. So the numbers that were originally reported by the media, that was based on them looking up jail records, and they did not have access to juvenile jail records because of the laws. So the total arrests are adults and juveniles, and that's the difference.
Is it safe to say the difference then is all juveniles then?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sergeant Shade, I know this must be frustrating because you guys have this law that you're able to use now. Is there anything else that you guys are working on legislatively that might enhance it to maybe send an even stronger message?
Yeah, I'll let Chief Gilliam handle that one.
I want to give a lot of credit to our Florida legislators on this. We have the ability to enforce the laws on the books. And you saw that the other night. If there ever comes a time when it's apparent that they found a way to circumvent or find loopholes in that, we'll go back and we'll increase those penalties and we'll put more teeth into it. But right now, the laws on the books, they work. They work in the state of Florida. I want to make sure that from Florida Highway Patrol, Sergeant Steve Gaskins, he also has a bit of information that's important for you all to hear. So, Sergeant.
Thank you. If you noticed last month, the Florida Highway Patrol, we had a statewide media blitz about racing specifically. If you have information, because like the chief said, these people were actually, most of them were coming from outside of Pinellas County. So because it's a statewide issue, we're seeing this in Miami, Orlando, Tampa, here. If you have information, reach out to the Florida Highway Patrol, stop racing at flhsmv.gov. Give us that information. If you hear about something, pass it on to us so we, as a statewide law enforcement especially, can team with our partners here to prevent this from happening so we don't have tragedies and so we don't have people losing their car for 30 days. We want to prevent this in advance if possible, so give us that information. All right, thank you.
Is this racing going on, is money being a motivator, or is it just fun?
It could be a combination of all of that. It could be fun, it could be money, it could be boredom. Who knows?
So you say they went from here, where did, I mean, the majority of the people went from here, where were they from?
People travel all over the state to different locations across the state. So it's really a network.
Now, if you'd say half of these people arrested were juveniles?
About
Approximately, yes. So again, the difference between the 41 and 69 is juveniles.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.